Joining us now with reaction, let's bring in former law clerk to Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch and the founder of the Article III Project, Mike Davis. Mike, thanks so much for coming on today. A lot to talk to you about. Of course, reaction has been pouring in across the country, but I'd like to start with this. This is what Justice Clarence Thomas has to say about the protest, and we'll read it together. "We are becoming addicted to wanting particular outcomes, not living with the outcomes we don't like. We can't be an institution that can be bullied into giving you just the outcomes you want. The events from earlier this week are a symptom of that." Mike, tell me your thoughts about this statement.
Yeah, so I clerked for Justice Gorsuch on the Supreme Court. I served as the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee, where my portfolio included oversight of the federal courts. This is disgraceful, what's going on here, where people are threatening Supreme Court justices at their homes. They're threatening Catholics at their churches. Both of those things are against federal law. And I put this squarely on Attorney General Merrick Garland, a former federal judge. He needs to step up. Attorney General Merrick Garland, Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco, FBI Director Chris Wray, the U.S. attorneys in D.C., the Eastern District of Virginia, and Maryland. This is squarely on them. They need to step up to protect these federal judges while they are deciding a pending case, and the U.S. attorneys around the country need to protect these Catholic churches and Catholic churchgoers who are being threatened in their churches.
As you point out, the decision is pending, right? This was a draft link that was authenticated, but again, we don't know the final outcome. So it is important to at least discuss how this even happened. And I'd like to show you this sort of timeline here. SCOTUS blog tweeted this out, saying how the leak might have happened. Start from the premise that there were actually at least 2 leakers and 3 leaks. The first leak was to the Wall Street Journal editorial board last week. In substance, it was that the court had voted to overrule Roe v. Wade. Then it goes on. The second leak was to Politico. Likely within the past few days, a person familiar with the court's deliberations told them that 5 members of the court, Alito, Kavanaugh, Barrett, along with Justices Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch, originally voted to overturn Roe, and that remains the current vote. And then finally the third leak was also to Politico. It was presumably, but not certainly, by the same person. Someone provided them with Alito's February 10th draft opinion. That kind of takes you through the motions there. But as we know, Mike, the SCOTUS court-martial has been tasked with the investigation. Will the leaker be identified?
I think so. So we don't know about the Wall Street Journal. We don't know if that was an actual leak or speculation. We know that when the draft opinion was published in Politico with the background details of the court's deliberations, we know that was a leak. And that was an unprecedented leak of a draft opinion. It's never happened before. The Chief Justice did the right thing by appointing the Marshal of the Supreme Court to investigate this. The Marshal is in charge of the 200-person Supreme Court police. They can interview every single law clerk, every single other employee. They can subpoena. They can do polygraphs if they want to. They can handle this. The political branches should keep their noses out of that. We do not want to start a precedent where the political branches, the executive branch or Congress, try to interfere with the inner workings of the Supreme Court. They'll get to the bottom of this.
Right. And again, at this point, it would be only speculation as to who would be behind the leak. But since you have experience working as a clerk for the Supreme Court, could you walk our viewers through sort of the steps that are taken to prevent these discussions and these draft opinions from getting out to the public typically?
Well, it's such a limited number of people who have access to these draft opinions. It's the 9 Supreme Court justices. Each of them has 4 law clerks, or 36 law clerks. The retired justices have law clerks, or some of the retireds have law clerks who they share with current justices. So you might have 38, 39 law clerks, along with 2 or 3 administrative aides for each justice, and then a handful of IT people and marshal's aides who deliver the draft opinions from chambers to chambers. So we're talking less than 80 people who have access to these draft opinions. And this is an unprecedented breach. It's clearly a disgruntled employee, maybe a law clerk who wants to change a current justice's vote on a pending case. Maybe they're not happy that it's 5-4 to overturn Roe versus Wade and Casey, so they're trying to put pressure on a conservative justice to get maybe protesters to show up at their homes and threaten them, which is exactly what happened.
In either way, it's not something you discuss outside of the walls of the Supreme Court building. Mike Davis, thanks so much for coming on today and sort of laying that out for our viewers. We appreciate the conversation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.